It's Friday and time for the DMV Soundcheck. This week we're featuring Chris De La Cruz. He's a Mexican-American artist from D.C. He discovered his talent by the age of 12 writing songs and freestyling for friends and family. His music can be defined as Latin trap and reggaeton, but he's incorporated hip-hop into his sound. Check out his interview and his song called Never Let Me Down featuring Chino Mannie. Chris, welcome to Great Day, Washington. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Man, I can't complain. So, Chris, you have been into music since you were like 12 years old, man. Yeah. Tell us about how you discovered music and your talent.
Yeah, so I started off writing poetry. And at first, I just started writing because I needed an outlet. I felt like I was going through too much. And then afterwards, after I started going into like high school and that, I started exploring putting the poetry onto beats. And it wasn't until the end of high school that I really started setting up my gear, started buying things. But I've been holding off a little bit because life, 2008 recession, like knocked all of us down. And so I went homeless. I had to put my dream on pause. But then afterwards, 2018, that's when I really started picking it back up and just really start going at it.
And so, Chris, as a Mexican-American artist in the DMV, what kind of market is it? Are there a lot of obstacles? Is there enough diversity to allow your music to thrive? How is it in the DMV?
I started doing reggaeton at first when I first started, but I had no idea of mixing and mastering. So I put out stuff and it actually did pretty good for it being, something that was coming from a newbie. But then afterwards, I switched over to hip hop because I was in the DMV and I felt that I was thinking too small. I said, I'm never going to go to El Salvador. That was one of the stations that was blowing my music out over there. I said, I'm never going to go to El Salvador. But during that time, I actually started doing hip hop. And I was well accepted, actually. Being a Mexican artist, I just felt like wherever I went, I would always shout that out. I would always make jokes about it. Say every show that I came out to, I was like, I just crossed over the border like 2 weeks ago, show me some love. Everybody just loved the vibe. And that's sort of how I kept it going. It wasn't until I transitioned and started doing music in Spanish. That was during the pandemic. I just said, let me take it back. And I started really exploring that. It started getting out more. And then I started thinking about fusing the two, putting English into Latin beats and just mixing the two to try to bring those cultures together. And right now, I think that is working so far. I'm trying to introduce that the new Latin genres into the American culture. So we'll see how that goes.
I love it, man. And actually, as we celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month, how do you feel about that, and how do you feel tied to this celebration this month?
Yeah, I feel I always feel like it's always important for us to connect with our roots. We can never forget where we come from because, then if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going, sort of, in a way. And so I feel that to me, it's important. I got to show love to my culture, being Mexican and overall being Hispanic. So that's why when I realized that I wanted to show that off, I felt like that's when I really started putting Spanish. I started off with words, then lines became whole verses. And now it's to a point where I'm doing half and half to try to keep that together and, just keep building on top of that.
Come on, Chris. I love it. Sounds great, man. Well, look, continued success, continue grinding, and we're loving your music, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And also one last thing, I just want to say, mira ma, ¿dónde estoy? Estoy en las noticias. That's just basically me saying, hey, mom, look, I'm on the news. I always wanted to say that, so might as well just get that out the way since this is the opportunity. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm feeling really proud that I met you, baby. You ain't never let me down, mommy, you amazing. If I ever make it out, baby, you gon' make it. I know you gon' hold it down and there's no debating. Yeah, I'm feeling really proud that I met you, baby. You ain't never let me down, mommy, you amazing. If I ever make it out, baby, you gon' make it. I know you gon' hold it down and there's no debating. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Reflecting on
on the things that I did, oh my. The way we used to live, how did we get by? When I'm feeling down, I just look up at the skies. The stars that remind me of your eyes. We was on the porch, we was talking about our lives. We was drinking, we was smoking, stressing all the time. I ain't gonna lie, I've been feeling low. Reminiscing about the mattress we on the floor. We was screaming, we was fighting, we was trying to work it out. We was looking at the stars on the line. We was dreaming, we was flying, we was trying to touch the clouds. And the only way is up, we ain't never coming down.
I'm really proud that I met you, baby. You ain't never let me down, mommy, you amazing. If I ever make it out, baby, you gon' make it. I know you gon' hold it down, and that's no debating. Yeah, I'm feeling really proud that I met you, baby. You ain't never let me down, mommy, you amazing. If I ever make it out, baby, you gon' make it. I know you gon' hold it down, and there's no debating. Yeah.
And if you're a member of a band, group, or solo artist from the DMV and are interested in being on our show, follow us on Instagram at DMV Soundcheck 9 and send us a message with your work or email dmvsoundcheck@wusa9.com. Be sure to include your link to your music video.